Welcome to Golden Blue, everybody, home of the college football fan. And don't forget about the checklist. Hat check, sunglasses check, Pepsi check, notes check, sources check, and thick skin is a check. And don't forget to sing gear to represent your team and yourself in my background. Send it to P.O. Box 360, Liberty, South Carolina, 29657, and get yourself a shout out. On to the next video. And you already know what time it is, so might as well sit down, brace yourself, and buckle up because you are entering the speculation zone. The other day, I did a video about the Arizona athletic director and president coming out and saying, no, Arizona State is not jumping to the Big 12. I want to run through that real quick, and then we'll talk about what our favorite college football conspiracy theorist has had to say about all this. First up was Pick Around the Corner. In one of his episodes, episode 167, ASU is committed to the Pac-12, declared by its university president. Also, 247 Sports, Arizona State President Crow, Sun Devils committed to Pac-12 despite Big 12 expansion rumors. Here's what the actual interview looked like, according to 247 Sports. Arizona State President Michael Crow told the state press this week that the university is committed to the Pac-12, Arizona State, and not in contact with the Big 12 about expansion. That's actually a lie. All four corners have talked to the Big 12. Now, whether they jump, that remains to be seen. But they have talked to them, so there's a red flag right there. Goes on to say, and it looks like he's doubled down on this, there have been no discussions for us with the Big 12 Conference on moving. That's a lie as well. I'm sorry, I gotta say it, Crow said. I mean, there's been discussions between everyone, everywhere on all things. So are you disputing yourself? Are you contradicting yourself on that? Related to where our conference is going and where stuff's going to end up and what's happening. We are committed to the Pac-12. Crow added that he expects a good offer in Pac-12 media rights negotiations to emerge soon, which that's a possibility. I'm not disputing that. We're close to knowing where we're going to be, and I think that we're close to a deal, Crow said. I think that the Pac-12 media rights became more complicated with the departure of USC and UCLA. You think? They're up and down, but we have fabulous sports teams and the remaining teams. We're going to get a good offer. We're in the final stages of that process. Then the Arizona State athletic director had to say this. We're managing it by being patient and letting the process with our new commissioner, George Kliavkoff, take its course. That's what Anderson, the Arizona State athletic director, told Arizona Sports' Bickley Yamamoto. He goes on to say, it's been challenging and it's been frustrating. I don't think anybody can deny that, and so we've had to be patient because, very frankly, we're not in control. We certainly believe the value ASU as an institution brings to the Pac-12 conference and the overall conference scene, but we have been forced, like everyone else, unfortunately, to let things play out because we are not in the driver's seat. Well, you actually are, especially if you're in talks with the Big 12. If that's a possibility, then you have a choice. So there's a bunch of contradictions in this interview, saying we haven't been talking to the Big 12. I'm sorry, I have to call them a liar on that because they've all been talking to the Big 12. Now, where they actually jump to the Big 12, that remains to be seen. Maybe nobody jumps to the Big 12, but they have been talking to the Big 12. In case you're wondering, these are the teams that we don't have represented for the mini helmets. As you can see, we actually have quite a few big brands that's not represented here at Golden Blue. So get your team represented here on Golden Blue. And then that last part, we're not in the driver's seat. Well, yes, you are. Maybe you're not in the driver's seat of the actual contract negotiations with the TV media rights, but you are in the driver's seat as far as if you don't like it, you can jump to the Big 12. They have been talking. So I'm seeing a bunch of contradictions in this actual interview. Now, the Monty Show made a video about this, saying the same thing as me. Maybe Arizona State doesn't want to jump to the Big 12, but saying that they haven't been talking to the Big 12, if that were true, then that's irresponsible, especially in this day and age where the Pac-12 is looking a little shaky. So they're either lying, which is what I think it's the case, or they're being irresponsible and not exploring their option. Couple of remarks to that Monty Show video. This is from Baylor Bear 03, who is also a subscriber of Golden Blue. Sounds like ASU isn't getting an invite and is trying to save face. That actually makes sense. Now, talking to the Big 12 and getting an actual invite, two separate things. Remember what I said yesterday. These networks had the final say as far as who these conferences bring in. They give the okay. All right, yeah, you can bring those in. No, we'll wait on those. Perfect situation or example, I should say. The SEC wanted Texas A&M and either West Virginia or Missouri. They were leaning towards West Virginia, but ESPN stepped in and said, no, we want the Kansas City TV market. Go get Missouri. What happened? The SEC got Texas A&M and Missouri. The networks have the final say. The conference does have input, but the networks have the final say. I'm telling you that right now. So this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the Big 12 has been talking to Arizona State. That's a fact. But Fox was like, no, we want Arizona, but not Arizona State. And I've been talking about this possible legislation that ties in Arizona to Arizona State. In other words, where Arizona is, Arizona State must be. And wherever Arizona State is, Arizona must be. That legislation is no more. I think it existed for a little bit, but it doesn't exist now. Either that or it never existed. It is not on the books. It does not exist. So Arizona could go to the Big 12 without Arizona State. And it looks like Arizona State is not getting an invite, and maybe they're trying to save face by saying, no, we're not interested in the Big 12. We haven't even been talking to the Big 12. Yes, you have, and you know it. Cyclone Steve had to say this, and he's also a subscriber of Golden Bluted. I haven't talked to any Big 12 official, but my media consultant has talked to the Big 12 media consultant who talked to the Big 12, a.k.a. covering your ASS. That's right. Arizona State looks like they're trying to cover their rear end because they have talked to the Big 12, but the Big 12 is like, well, Fox really doesn't want you. We want Arizona, but not Arizona State. And trust me, I have a lot of Arizona State subscribers, and I think Arizona State has a lot of value. I just don't know the plan of Fox and the Big 12. I don't know the reason why they wouldn't want Arizona State. I'm just saying that's what it looks like. I actually think Arizona State could be a little bit more valuable than Arizona, so I'm a bit confused myself. I'm just going by what I see because Arizona State actually carries the TV market of Phoenix. That is a large TV market. Arizona just carries Tucson. They cover a little bit or carry a little bit of Phoenix, but Arizona State carries the majority of that. So the reasons I don't know, but it could be that Fox and the Big 12 are agreeing that it's going to be Arizona and Colorado, at least in the beginning stages. And maybe later on they add Arizona State and Utah. Listen, I don't know these conversations that are going on behind closed doors, but I do know that they are definitely interested in Arizona and Colorado. You would think that they would also be interested in Utah and Arizona State, but who knows what these networks and conferences are actually thinking. And of course, I said I wanted to see what our favorite college football conspiracy theorist had to say about this. Here's what he had to say. My sources comment on a few things. Arizona and Colorado has been and remain in deep discussions with BY, which is Brett Yormark, and the Big 12. What have I been saying? They want Arizona and Colorado desperately. GK, George Kliavkoff, still does not have a better TV deal than Big 12's to present to his presidents. Not to say he won't have one. It could still happen, right? Many sources are saying it will come in 22 to 25 million per school range after production costs. Remember, this is going to be streaming heavy, so they're going to have to cover those costs. It's all just a battle of PR teams until an actual deal is on the table and the value is made public. Mandel's title to his paywall article is a spin job itself, once you read the content. We are in a waiting game here. Chips are on the table, and the wait is almost over. Less than a month to go before we either see Pac stabilize or movement starts to happen. I agree. There are two separate choices. It's not just, all right, it's over. The Pac-12 is going to get picked apart. No, there is a real chance that the Pac-12 can get at least a competitive TV deal to the Big 12 and keep everybody together. I actually did a video earlier today about San Diego State and the possibility of the Pac-12 actually stabilizing and getting a TV deal that's at least competitive to the Big 12. That's still an option. I'm just not confident in that option, and you have to look at the other option as well, and that is it's not competitive and teams will vote for the Big 12. Both of those options are viable. You have to look at both avenues. But I agree with these commenters. I do think that Arizona State maybe is not getting an invite to the Big 12, and maybe they're just trying to cover their rear end because they just don't want to come out and say it and say, the Big 12 is interested in Arizona, our arch state rival, but they're not interested in us, and we don't know why, because we think we have better value than Arizona, which I would actually agree with that. I would agree that Arizona State does have better value than Arizona. So there you go. I have my Arizona State subscribers mad at me and my Arizona subscribers mad at me all on one video. There you go. So y'all know in the comment section, number one, do you think that's the case? You think Arizona State is coming out with all these comments saying we're not even talking to the Big 12, which is completely false because they know they don't have an invite. It's Arizona instead, and they're trying to cover their rear end in an embarrassing situation, or sort of embarrassing, I should say. Number two, do you think the Pac-12 can pull this one out of the fire and actually have a competitive TV deal as to the Big 12s and everybody actually stays together? Because it is an option. Number three, if they can't come up with a TV deal, that's still a big if because it might not happen. Do you agree with me? The first teams that will jump will be Arizona and Colorado. That's all I got for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.